All right, we're back at the mill site. We're gonna run the samples that we took out at the mine. We have 3 samples. We're running these samples to find out where we should grab a bulk sample for a very special visit from Keen Engineering. Mark Keen is gonna come out, shoot a video running his crusher. We're excited to be able to prepare a sample for him. Hopefully we get some gold. NE5. Sometimes we just use some blue tape and write on the handle of the bucket, you know, put some tape around and write on it. Or you could just put a little piece of paper in there, keep track. And then SW8, so that's just 8 feet down on the southwest portion of the vein, and that's the northeast portion 5 feet down. So let's mill these and concentrate. Okay, so we milled the last of our samples and just wanted to show you our grind. We got really fine material, but just like anything, not everything is the size you want. We have a little bit of oversize there. Not too bad though. So we're gonna run that. And just wanted to say that you, between every sample, always clean out the mill. Whether it's with a brush, an air compressor, just make sure you do not contaminate your samples.
I just wanted to give a shout out to K&M. That little mill might not be the fastest, but I mean, it turns it into baby powder.
Absolutely. And then changing out that screen, making sure the chains are in good condition helps too, huh?
Yes. Well, 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch metal little plates on the end of the chains. So they'll last longer and do a better job.
Gotta make sure you're working with clean pans. All right, so I'm panning the first sample, which is northeast 15 feet down. So we'll see how this one turns out. Okay, so here's the gold recovery for our first sample, NE15. And you can see some coarse pieces of gold. And we'll have to show you on a microscope some of the fine gold. And it's pretty hard to believe until you see it. So I'll get a weight on this and we'll figure out a yield. My guess right now, this looks close to what the assay came in for this area at a 1/10 ounce to the ton. So we'll run the numbers and see if I'm right. All right, so I got the gold dried up. There's a little bit of silica in there, but not much. Okay, 0.054. Okay, I ran the numbers, wrote it down in my sampling book. We got 3.3 grams to the ton, or a 1/10 ounce from NE15. Let's go ahead and move on to the next sample. So this is SW8. Look at how much quartz is in this. All right, so I'm gonna get this sample panned down and we're gonna take a look at the gold. Here's the sample from SW8. Not as good as I thought it was going to be, but you never know until you sample it. And so this looks a little lower grade than the prior sample. So we're probably looking at less than a 1/10 of an ounce, but I'll go ahead and weigh it up and confirm it. We didn't get to pan the tailings to see how much gold loss we had. So that is something that we can do. And we could also use a different concentrator, such as the Riverdance mineral jig, our shaker table, or the gold cube, which I used when first starting out. And that did a really good job of capturing fine gold, except for maybe 400 minus, that it would not catch. And we could also smelt our cons entirely just to see how much gold we get using a collector metal. Okay, so I'm not even going to bother weighing this tiny bit of gold that's in here. It is incredibly small. So this isn't what we were expecting from these spots. We had gotten some better gold in the past, but you know how that story goes. So we have another area. Remember where next to the deck that we built, there's some of the vein that's covered Well, we're thinking of mucking that off, getting on that vein, pan it, and see what we see. If we get some good recoveries, we're gonna pull a sample and bring it back and mill it. All right, it's a new day. We're gonna head back out to that prospect. I'm gonna muck that material back and sample the vein there, because if there is high grade, according to that assay, there was an 8 ounce to the ton spot. Yeah, it might be gone, but heck, if there's a ½ ounce still there per ton, we'd be happy. So let's go prospect that spot and see what we can find. Okay, I'm back at this prospect and I gotta move some tonnage. So the thought here is I wanna go ahead and clear all this overburden that has sloughed off over the years. See if we can identify where the vein splits, because you can see the vein right here. And so where that intersection is, I'd really like to prospect that. So I'm gonna go ahead and start mucking and throwing it back into this prospect here. You see what that says? 17 feet, 32 to 36 inches. Okay, for width, about 3 feet, maybe more. So let's just run those numbers real quick. Okay, so we got 3 foot wide, 3 foot deep, times 17 feet. It's 153 cubic feet. If we divide by 27, that gives us 5.66 yards. So just under 6 yards, call it 5.5. Now, if we want tonnage, divided by 18, and that would be 8.5 tons. Knowing this gives me a better idea of how long I'll be here. So, and how hard I'll have to work, or how much I can also clear up, because I could do 8 tons in a day by myself. So we'll see how quickly I can get through this. It's gonna be a lot faster for you than it is for me. And as always, you need a bar down. Make sure you're safe. If you don't like something, move it. And leave yourself an escape route. So if this is gonna come down, a couple things. It could slide on your bar and come right at you. So you gotta be able to move out of the way. You do not want this hit. Or the camera. All right, so my shovel has had enough. Lost the pick. Couldn't, well, this thing has moved probably 50 tons or more in its life. Maybe more than that. So at least I still got this end that I could use. It's been about an hour, and I would estimate I moved about 2 tons. Oh, let me walk down here. Show you my setup. And as I look back, you can see that wall of overburden that is deeper than 3 feet. My buckets, and just plowing into it. Well, you know, life can sometimes seem like this daunting task where you just have nothing but a big wall in front of you. And so sometimes you just got to take one bucket at a time. One bucket at a time, and just stay focused on that. Before you know it, you'll get through whatever huge trial you got in front of you. Because I know we're all going through something. All right, back to work. All right, I believe I found the intersection from where the vein strikes from southwest to northeast. That is similar to what we saw inside to the top. Kind of that purple, yellow, orange looking stuff. So looking down here, I came in contact with a little bit here on the footwall, but then as I've been breaking into here, I'm realizing that none of this has been worked. As decomposed as it is, this is how it's been sitting. And so I've been breaking into it and realizing, hey, this is the vein on this side. And every time I get into it more and more, there's a lot more of this purple stuff. Now I got to try to not dilute it and get this overburden off and try to get a few buckets of this. Take a look at this ore, or at least I hope it's ore. Remember, it's only ore if it's profitable to mine. So I'm going to go ahead and pan some, and I'm just going to go ahead and shovel into here. I'm going to screen it. I'm not going to crush out in the field. I'm just going to screen it and see if I get anything. And I'll show you some gold today. All right, I got my sample. What I'm going to do is just screen it. And what do I got here? I think I got 30 mesh. It's either 30 or 20. Kind of looks like a 20. All right, so here's my screen material. Maybe about a ½ inch from the bottom. Not even up to that first riffle. Let's go see what kind of gold we get. So I transferred it over to this smaller black pan, and just to give you an idea of the size difference, that's the Garrett Super Sluice, which I typically only use for, you know, sampling placers and river gold, but that's what I got with me today. Then I got the smaller one. So probably up to the first riffle, maybe a little bit over. Let's make sure we get everything wet. And yes, jet dry. Lots of jet dry. I'm going to speed this up for everyone. Panning for fine gold can take a while. And still got some coarse pieces that came through. So yeah, that's probably 20 mesh. So didn't grind it down, so just screening it and seeing if we get any color. I was really hoping to drill into it. Oh, I see a piece of gold. Oh yeah. Okay, there is a small line right there. Okay, well that's good news. Not getting skunked. Matter of fact, that kind of looks like more gold in this small pan than what we got yesterday in one of our samples. So that's promising for just the little bit that we ran, or for the little bit that I just grabbed to pan, compared to running like 30 pounds in a sample. Not too bad, actually. I'm real curious to see what a sample looks like fully milled. And don't worry, I'm gonna save everything in here and just add it to our sample to be ran. All right, let's see what we see. We get rid of some of this water. Don't forget to loop what appears to be silica or calcite, little small pieces, because yesterday when I looped it, it was loaded with gold. And you would swear just by the naked eye that was just silica. But you really got to loop it and look closely. Yeah, all right. I don't know if it's going to show up on the GoPro, but I'm looking at least like 40 or 50 colors in here. So let me go ahead and loop this and see. I'm going to save what's in here too. All right, here are my samples. Probably have about 250 pounds. That's what I'm thinking, maybe 200 once it gets crushed. All right, so we'll see how it turns out. I'm really excited. We got good gold in that pan. It's a small amount that we sampled. I believe Ron and Harry and Con Man are going to be there with Keen Engineering to process that sample. I won't be able to be there as I have a funeral to go to, unfortunately. Loss of a dear loved one. So want to thank everybody for watching. I really appreciate your guys' support. Our whole team does, and we're excited to show you our setup and what it takes to go find hard rock gold in the areas that we're prospecting. All right, so stay tuned for future videos. We have a lot coming. Thanks for watching.